Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Henry Kaminski here with another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. Today, I have an amazing guest. I always say my guests are amazing because I know how to pick them. And him and I met on Instagram Live not too long ago. And he was in a particular situation with his entrepreneurial career, which I feel a lot of you guys are in. And I wanted to bring him on the show because I wanted him to understand that there's thousands of people that are listening to this show that are in the same boat he is in. And I'm also going to share with you guys a guy that is in the same boat as you. And during this episode, this one's going to be a little bit more fun. This one's going to be it's going to probably have a little bit of a consultative edge to it because I really want to help this guest get from point A to point Z. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dan Barton to the show. What's going on, Dan?
Well, Henry, thank you very, very much for inviting me. This is a real shock when I just happened onto your Instagram tweet and went live with you. And it's been a whirlwind since then, but I'm just really pleased to be on with you. Feel a little bit on the nervous side, if you know what I mean.
That's okay. Listen, and this is your first podcast, right?
Absolutely. It's first everything.
I love it. So I'm going to get you out of your comfort zone because you and I both know nothing happens inside of the comfort zone, you know?
You're right.
And so let me ask you the first question. The first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and then where did you get this entrepreneurial itch? Like, I want to know the passion behind what it is that's driving this concept.
Okay, well, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Michigan, but I've been a pastor. I've been a pastor for over 30 years, and I've pastored in 6 states. And during the process of me being a pastor, I realized that I was not living up to everything that I thought a pastor should. But it was one of those things I couldn't just tell people. This is I'm messing up here and I'm messing up there and I've had failure and I've had shame and I've had this disaster and another. And I just realized that there was something inside of me that was saying that you can't go on like this. And there was a part of me that was just saying that I had to quit. And there was nothing good from me because of the things, my failure and because of my losses and all the stuff that I brought on myself and things that other people, garbage that other people dumped on me. And I just really felt like this is a quitting spot. And there was something inside of me. I told a few people a little bit about my passion. In 1992 in Laurel, Mississippi, someone I hardly knew told me, he said, Dan, if you would write your story and your stuff, he said, I would pay to have it published. And he said, I've read a lot of biographies and autobiographies, and he said, yours is a very compelling story. Well, I kind of laughed that off, but something kind of started there. And over the years, I've just kind of felt like I was to write a story, write a book, or do a blog, or do some kind of vlog or something. But the other part of me knew that the fear was so much stronger than the motivation to go, because I just felt like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no tools. I have no concept. But one of the things I did during this time is I went on a website and I wrote a poem. Henry, do you think that I would be able to read my poem?
I'm sure. Go for it.
Okay. This is a poem.
You wrote this yourself?
I did write it myself. And the title of the poem is Word Picture. And it was my dilemma of, am I going to let someone else tell my story? Give a picture of me and present that? Or am I going to present a negative picture of myself, or am I going to tell the story? Here we go. I heard it from the time I was a child, a phrase I would often repeat. It begins, It became a part of the lexicon, it seems, of nearly everyone that I'd meet. A statement of 7 words that seemed ensconced without debate. Yet as I pondered the facts of my life, I'm not so sure I always relate. A picture is worth 1,000 words. How could anyone disagree? A picture will freeze that moment, encapsulating it for all to see. Cameras are there for big moments. They capture our best and our worst. From those disappointing times when we blew it, to those proud moments we think we might burst. But herein lies the problem. That picture will never change. Our lives go in all directions, yet that portrait can't show the range. Oh, it may have captured a phase that we were going through, and it may have caught that moment in a way that words never do. But we are so much greater than a sum of all our parts. You see, it's not a point in time, but our story that impacts hearts. I'm not saying throw out the camera. If you did, your picture would go too. Excuse me. If you did, your phone would go too. I am just saying enhance those pictures with your story that enlarges their view.
It's powerful, dude. I love it.
Well, thank you. Well, I also, in the course of time, I wrote what I would call my elevator pitch for my website or for my book or for whatever it is that I think I might do. I just haven't launched it. My elevator pitch would go something like this, and it's open for discussion. I am an inspirational motivator. I engage Christians who feel disqualified from their potential destiny, resulting from the painful choices made by themselves or others. I infuse hope through dispelling Satan's lie and disseminating God's love. I share insight from God's word, personal experience, and relevant God stories, facilitating renewed understanding, passion, and purpose for fulfilling the dream God has birthed deep within our spirit.
Awesome.
What I'm trying to say, I guess, Henry, I know this is, I'm come from a Christian point of view. I was a pastor for over 30 years, but I know the passion of a lot of people who feel like their life just totally crumbled when something happened. They went through a divorce, or they got drugs overtook them, alcohol, pornography, or I think I said divorce. Just one of life's calamities after another. And sometimes they know, like I've known in some of my things. I've been at 2 churches. I've been the last pastor. What does that mean? I was the closing pastor. What does that mean? The church failed. And what an impact that's been on me. It's not something you like say on your resume. You want your church closed? Call me. Here comes Dan. And I have felt that I have failed in so many ways. I felt like I failed my children. I wasn't always the best dad. You talk to my kids and they would say, he was a great dad. I know they'd say that. And I think I was a pretty good dad. But I know, and I've emphasized within myself, there's been a picture that has come to me that has emphasized my failures. I have sitting right in front of me as I'm talking to you right now, I have a picture. And it's the picture of a clown. And I have that on the wall in my study. My kids don't like the picture. And I also have a skeleton that I look at. It's on hanging from a lamp. And what it reminds me is that there is someone who is going to tell a negative story about me. And I believe in God, and I believe in Satan. And Satan has a picture of me, and the picture is a very negative one. But I also know not just Satan, but I have some family members that have a negative picture of me. And we've all got friends and people that they saw something happen one time, and they kind of hung on to that and just kind of went with it. I've told people, I said, we've all had our worst moments. What you were told in private, you told in public. you've done some things that and you've said to yourself, how in the world could I have said that? I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that. Mm. And we've had our worst moments, and sometimes they're in public and sometimes they're in private. But either way, even if it's in private, we know ourselves, man, I've really screwed up. And what we do is we create this picture, internal picture. Mm-hmm. And what I would like to tell people is that, yeah, you've blown it. And I say that to myself, yeah, I've been bad. I've done some really stupid things, but I've had some good moments too. Mm-hmm. I've had my best moments. Mm-hmm. I've had moments when I had a moment in sports, just one moment when I hit a ball over the fence mm-hmm. in center field. But I was about 22 years old. And if anybody was around there, they might have thought, man, if I would ever have a team, I'd want that guy in there. I just saw him clear the center field fence. But it was a little league fence. But it was only one time that I did it, only in my life. I'm not athletic. Mm-hmm. And it's the only home run. And I remember that one, though. That's a picture that's encapsulated in my brain because it was my hero moment.
Yeah.
But sometimes we will do one of two things. What we'll probably do is capture a moment that's not realistic. We'll probably capture a failure moment, a shame moment, mm-hmm. and we'll say, that's who I am. That's my picture. Yeah. When someone talks about who I am, that's what I bring up. Or someone will bring that up about me. Or they will do the hero moment. Very rare or seldom are we realistic about who we really are. And what I'm trying to promote, if I can ever get this out there, what I'm trying to promote is to say, yeah, you've had some bad moments, but you're not as bad as your worst moments. Yeah. Everybody's had them. Yeah. And yeah, you've had some great moments. You were the hero. You said the right thing. And people thought, wow, that was incredible. But you don't always have those moments. You've been in the same boardroom when you said something really dumb, and it was like, who in the world let him in? And you feel like I want to crawl away and hide. And that's why I have the skeleton. That's why I have the picture of the clown, because I don't want that to be the picture that I tell about myself. And I don't want that to be the picture that's predominantly out there about me. Other people will tell those pictures, and that's okay. But what I believe is this, that Satan is into pictures. Because why? He knows about Photoshop.
Well, let me tell you something. From a branding perspective, 78% of what we remember is what we see. And wow. So I always tell people, your brand identity is so important when it comes to building your business, because it's what people see is what they're going to remember most. And so you can have the most powerful messaging ever on your website, but if it looks like hell, right, mm-hmm. they're going to associate that with lackluster quality, and they're going to question the experience. They're going to question the quality of the deliverable. And so it's very, very important to understand that the picture you paint for yourself, it should not be taken lightly. And I just wanted to share this with you, Dan. So this is my cell phone case, and it's my wallpaper on my phone, and it's actually the same exact image of the canvas that you see on my wall behind me, and it says, "You become what you think about the most."
Yes. And
I look at that every single day, and then there's a lion's head looking up at the words for those that are listening to the show that can't see us. But that is what I see every single day in my life. And I have a 7-month-old son, and it was recently I had a podcast guest on, and he was talking about this legacy. He was talking about this, this term legacy and what it means, and are you working towards legacy, or are you working for the short buck, or the quick buck, I should say, right? And I feel like every time I get out of alignment, every time I get anxious, every time I get frustrated or impatient, it reminds me that I am playing the short game and I'm playing small when I think like that. And when I flip my mindset and I start thinking, what are we doing? Why are you thinking so short term? Why are you looking so short framed? You need to look long term. You need to look. And when I start to change my mindset and I start paying attention to that, all of a sudden, all my anxiety goes away. The fear goes away, right? And everything works out. Everything works out. And so there's one thing I want to say to you, Dan, that maybe after today you can start executing and implementing is I want you to remember the picture of you grand slamming that ball out of the center court, out of the center field line. I have a similar story versus all of the
strikeouts,
other pictures. Yeah, because I saw you get a little bit of emotion when you started talking about all of that. And listen, I got a lot of those pictures too in my life, right? And the long story short of it is I can focus on those, right?
Right.
Or I could focus on the story that I'm about to tell you. And so it was funny. I just got back from a spa appointment and it went a little bit over. And I know Pam reached out to you and said I was running a little late.
No problem.
And I was at the spa appointment and I'm laying there face down. And I said to myself, I don't know if I deserve to be here this month. This is what I said to myself as I was laying there.
Right.
I said, I don't know if I deserve to be here this month. You know, like I don't feel like I'm putting 110% behind of everything that I'm doing this month. So I don't deserve to be here. Right. And I started to get anxious. I started to get like angry with myself as I sat there. Right. And then I said to myself, no, you do deserve to be here. You're an amazing dad. You're an amazing husband. You're an amazing designer. You're out there every single day on social media helping these people. And I started to think of all of that. And I said, and you're in an amazing spa appointment right now. And there's hundreds and thousands of people that never had a spa treatment in their life. You need to be in the moment right now and enjoy this. And everything went away. Right? So I was letting that doubt and I was letting that negative talk get me. And then I said, time out. And then I thought back to this story in my life that I share quite often when I speak and I share quite often online. When it was 1986, I was 6 years old and my parents put me in like the community or town soccer league just to get me to run around because I was this little pudgy kid as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember hating it because I just wasn't very athletic, and I would show up at the games and I would just do lackluster. You know, I wouldn't perform, right? I would just be running around aimlessly, right? But for whatever reason, we made it to the championship game that year, and I just couldn't believe it, right? And so that game comes, and there was about, I don't know, 200 parents on the sidelines, right? I might be exaggerating, but there was a crowd of people on the side, right? And in the whole season, I never scored a goal because this is what would happen. Every time the ball would be on one side of the court or field, I would be on the other. And by the time my chubby ass got to that ball, the ball would be down on the other side of the court. So it was like this rat race every time. And I just got fed up. And so it started to happen in the championship game. And so now I'm just out. I'm pooped. And I'm like, I want to quit. I want to literally walk off the field. And out of the 200 people on the sideline, right, I only see one person. And it was my dad.
Yeah.
And he's screaming off the top of his lungs, go, get the ball. Now I'm 6, right?
Right.
So I just remember looking at him, and I don't know what came over me, but I ran like hell. And I took everybody out in front of me. And I chased that damn ball down, and I scored my first goal.
Awesome.
And that was it. It. And that happened in 1986. And it was that day that made me say to myself, every time you feel like checking out, remember this story and remember this time in your life.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
I want you to remember that story, you slamming that ball down the center field line, as opposed to all the other shit you're telling yourself in the head. And I want you to have that embedded in your brain, because that's going to get everything off the ground. That's going to get your website launched. That's going to get you on social media more. Let me tell you something, Dan. I've been with you now for maybe in my entire life with you 30 minutes total. There's a couple things about you, Dan, that I know right away.
Okay.
That I don't even know you know.
All
One is you are extremely articulate with your words, and you have this soft-spokenness about you that's extremely inviting and extremely comforting. Do you know how many thousands of people out there are waiting for Dan Barton to tell his story, so that story drives them to do amazing things in their lives?
I certainly don't know, but I believe there's something inside of me. There's something that is so strong. I have to fight back tears because I know how I have felt the weight of failure on my life. And what I know now is that God says that I'm not a failure, and He says that to each of us. You know, we're not failures, and I do believe there's something inside that's going to come out, and I just want to bring it out there in the best way. You mentioned earlier.
And guess what? We don't have enough time on this show to get that whole story out.
Sure.
But guess what?
What?
This is the first step. Do you know how many thousands of people are going to hear this episode and want to know where they can find you to hear that story? I just set a spark by having you on the show today. And that spark is on this fuse, right? And this fuse all leads back to you. And so by the end of this show, you have to promise me something.
Okay.
That every day on social media, on Instagram specifically, because that's how we met, right? Right. I want you to get out there and either do a little video on your Instagram story, or do a little video on your page, or pump a little picture that will inspire the people specifically that you want to help. You have to get clear first and foremost on who it is exactly you want to help. And if it's folks inside of the Christian community, then you go all in on that community. All right? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the fear of missing out. If that's the community that you want to serve, then go all in and go deep. Okay? Too many people out there are going wide, and they're going too wide, where their messaging is getting diluted because they're trying to serve everyone. And we all know when we try to serve everyone, we serve no one. Mm-hmm. So I'm not telling you whatever that market is, you got to speak to just them, because I'm going to tell you right now, those people are really going to feel the impact. Okay? So that's first and foremost, because at the end of this show, I'm going to have you tell everybody what your Instagram handle is. And we're going to start throwing URLs out, because you're going to publish this damn site already. And you're going to start putting blogs out, and you're going to start contributing to this site every day. as part of your daily ritual, because every great brand has a ritual that they follow every single day. Mine happens to be the 5-minute journal. That to me is like my compass of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell everybody about that thing. It's a little app. It cost me $5, and it probably has made me $500,000 in the past year just by using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, we want you to share that story over and over and over and over again. And that story with the articulation of the skeleton and the clown and what you're focusing in on and versus what you're not. This is all great stuff. And now you got me intrigued, and I want to know this story from soup to nuts, because if somebody was willing to pay for the publishing of it, it tells me that it's quite compelling, because that's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So are you picking up what I'm dropping?
I am. I am. And you ask me, I don't even know all my handles, but I will have them. I will certainly have them. There's something.
Let's just start with Instagram. I don't want to overwhelm you, because this could get overwhelming quick. But we'll just start with Instagram. And if I remember correctly, what is your handle on Instagram?
It's and Satan laughed.
No, it was something like picture story something.
Oh, okay. Picture or story.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Picture
that's how I picked. That's how. Yeah, because when you came on the show, it said picture or story. That is a really catchy name. I'm going to tell you first and foremost, from a branding perspective, that name alone is very intriguing. If I could give you any piece of free advice, roll with that name.
Okay. I've never had anybody tell me it was good. I don't know. I guess I lucked into it.
Yes,
Thanks,
you did.
Henry.
Yes, you did. I would roll with that, because you can, as you get more confident in your role,
Mm-hmm.
you can use and spin that name 1,000 different ways. Right? When I use the brand doctor branding and I'm talking to clients, I use a lot of medical terminology, because I get to have fun with it. I'm not a doc, I'm not a physician by any means, but you know, the word play, you know, when people come to me and self-diagnose themselves, right? With whatever the case may be, they come to me and they think they need a new logo because that's going to get them more clients. But then when I do a diagnosis of their website and their branding, their messaging is so off. If they spent $1,000 on a logo, they would still be in the same place that they are, because they didn't prescribe the right treatment for that specific issue.
Okay.
So I always say, people come to me, they think they have the flu, but they really have pneumonia.
Gotcha.
They don't see.
I may have both.
Yeah. But we got so roll with that story.
Okay.
Roll with that name, I mean, because that name is super powerful, and I could see you doing a lot of good with it. Okay.
Okay.
The second thing is, we need to get this story published. And if that is still if that offer is still on the table, I highly recommend. Did you write the book?
I did not write it. I'm getting closer, but I did not. I have not written it. And that gentleman, that was in 1992, and he's no longer.
All right. So here's an opportunity for you. If you're not a good writer, or if you get writer's block, or if you aren't comfortable with writing, right?
I want to think I'm a good writer, Henry. Okay. I think I am.
Okay. So if then I would write it. If you like writing, then go all in. There's another tool out there called Rev.com, and that is a platform where you can actually record yourself and speak the entire book. That's how I wrote my book. I had it recorded, and then I had this company called Revcom actually transcribe it. And then I had an editor go in and edit the whole entire book, and I had the book published in 90 days.
Wow.
It was crazy. So for those of you guys that are thinking about publishing a book and you're the writing is holding you back, dude, rev.com, it is an amazing thing. And it's crazy. It's $1 a minute. It's $1 a minute. So it's really, really cheap. So getting back to you, Dan.
All right.
You told me on Instagram that the reason why you didn't launch is because the fear of failure, the fear of nobody liking it, the fear of not showing up. Talk to us about that a little bit, because there's folks out there that are in the same predicament you are, and I want them to resonate with this and connect with your thought here.
Okay, I think it probably goes back to the internal picture. I have had, and the internal picture, because of several failures in my life, the failed churches. I didn't tell you, but I've had a failed marriage. I was divorced, and one failure added to another failure has given me the internal picture of failure. You are failure, and it's just been, to go out and put yourself out there. I've written a number of poems, and I shared with you one poem, and it was a little bit back and forth. I was wondering, do I do that? Do I put that out there? What will people think of my poem? Or what was Henry think of my poem? And I've probably self-analyzed way too much, overanalyzed, and then come to a conclusion. I've concluded that a lot of people will say, who are you? What have you got to say? You've already told us that you've gone through divorce. You've told us about some of your failure. I haven't told you all my failure, but they can come up to a conclusion, logical conclusion. This guy's a failure. Why would I listen to anything that he has to say? That's part of my fear, Henry. No one's gonna care, and no one's gonna listen. I think that I have some relatively articulate ways of putting things. I do think that. I think I'm a better writer than a speaker. But the whole question is, will anybody care? Will anybody read? And will it make a difference? And maybe I should say, bottom line, I've been reading some stuff that, it's about monetizing, and I want to be able to, I'd love to be able to retire. I owe $120,000 on my house. I'd like to be able to pay that off. But really, more than that, what I really, the passion of my heart is, I want to help people who, like me, have felt like they have been disqualified or unqualified from what they wanted to do, or disqualified after maybe doing it for a while, and then some failure came. They did something, they blew it, and then it all blew up, and now they can't. And that's
and there are hundreds and thousands of people out there that need your help. And so there's something that an old mentor told me a while back that I want to share with you, because I was in your shoes not too long ago. I was mortified to do a Facebook Live. I was mortified to do any sort of video by any means. I remember when I shot my first video for a marketing pitch. I was there for 4.5 hours, and the video was only a 2-minute video. That's how many cuts we had to do, right? I was a mess. But one of my mentors told me this, and he was like, well, why aren't you getting out there and telling your story and helping people online? Because that's where everyone is. And I said, because why would anybody care? And he said, you're actually doing your audience a disservice by not showing up and sharing your trials and tribulations and your life lessons along the way. And then on top of that, my wife got on my ass the one day. We were driving to Home Depot for something, and I was watching one of those Gary Vaynerchuk videos, and she said, look at Gary. She goes, Gary's documents his whole life and his whole process and documents all of his successes and failures. You've been in business for 8 years. I haven't heard you once in 8 years, because she's been with me since the beginning, before the business really even was a business.
Gotcha.
And she said, I had never heard you once in 8 years talk about how you built your business. And she goes, I think there's a lot of people out there that would learn from that. Now, the first thought in my mind was, how do I get out there and tell everybody how bad I messed up? Like, why would anybody follow me? But there's a certain point of vulnerability. And I had a chance to meet Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet a couple years ago.
Okay.
And he spoke to all of us. It was a very tight-knit group, and he spoke to all of us. And he really let out his vulnerabilities. That man is a very quiet man. He's extremely introverted. Wouldn't have known that. Exactly. And it's interesting. And he talked about a ton of vulnerabilities. And that was the topic of his talk, was the more vulnerable you can be with your audience, the more connected they're going to feel. And to be honest with you, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. And people want to connect with people's confidence. And that's how people do business with people. Is at the end of the day, if I'm going to take out a credit card and give someone $5,000 to render service, I better be damn confident in that person and believe him and trust him. And my coach said, the amount of confidence that somebody has in you is directly determined to how much money they will spend with you over the course of time. So if you showcase a tremendous amount of confidence, they're going to be attracted to that, and they're going to pay you versus the other people, right? And
right.
Go ahead. And so you got to get that confidence up. You got to get that confidence up. And so I'm telling you right now, you're doing a disservice by not getting out there, and you're really chopping your legs off at your knees by saying, who's going to listen to this? Why should I show all my failures? Why should I do all that? I'm telling you, because people did it too. People have gone through divorces. People have screwed up miserably in their lives, and they want to know how you got through it. Mm-hmm. That's powerful.
Well, one of the things that I have started saying, I don't know, probably about maybe 6 months ago, that I say every day, and that is that I would be telling people, but I'm telling myself, wear your hat and share your history. But let me explain it real quickly. The hat is H stands for humility, A is for authenticity, and the T is transparency. And so everywhere I go, I want to wear a three-pronged hat of humility, authenticity, and transparency, and then share my his story. And this is back to the Christian aspect of capital H, capital S, I, capital S story. It's share my history, yes, but it's what God has done in my story. So share my his story.
That is brilliant, and that is the topic. That is going to be the headline of this episode, because that is so powerful when it comes to branding. You have no idea. The humility, the authenticity, and the transparency will determine your success, period. End of story. Mm-hmm. And so you got to promise me one thing, Dan, because we got to wrap this up. I got another call at 2.
Absolutely.
I want you to get out there consistently, and I will watch you. I am going to watch you. I'm going to start following you on Instagram, and I want you to post at least once a day. At least once a day. Okay? And
that's a challenge for me. I want you to know that, Henry.
What?
I can do it, but it's a challenge for me.
I will find you.
Are you think it's best to do the video thing? Is that
I would mix it up. I would have fun with it, because Dan, at the end of the day, you're out there wanting to serve people and help them live better lives. And
I am.
If you're not having fun with it, then don't do it. That is my biggest piece of advice for anybody listening. You got to have fun with it. The minute it doesn't become fun anymore, get rid of it. Just exit it out of your life period. So I want you to post. I want you to post consistently, and I want you to share your humility. I want you to share your authenticity, and I want you to be transparent. And then the other thing that I want you to do is I want you to do, this is a little bit of homework, but this is how people are going to find you on Instagram. I want you to do hashtag research. So all you need to do is type in a hashtag in the search query on Instagram. You'll find it. It's easy. And I want you to start thinking of words that would resonate with your target audience. And what types of words would they be using on social media? And I want you to search hashtags for it, right? I want you to find 30 of them, 30 of them, okay? And you'll know how popular the hashtag is by the number that's next to it. So if you type in entrepreneur, next to it, you'll see like 4,783,000 blah, blah, blah numbers. Yeah. That's a really popular hashtag. Right. That hashtag's so popular that your message may get lost in it. So a good number to sort of look for is anywhere from 500,000 down. Okay. That's a good number, right? And so,
I do have hashtag picture or story. That is, I have been using that.
Use one, that'll be one of the 30 that you use. Okay. Every time you post, in the comment, I want you to copy and paste those hashtags into the comment. Okay?
I may have to reach out to you to help on how to do that at some point.
Go to my page. Go to my Instagram page, the brand Dr. Dr. And just look how I do it and just model that. You'll know exactly what you'll need to do. So when you find 30 hashtags and post them in the comment, that means people that are looking into those hashtags are all going to find you because your picture is going to show up. And I want you to be very, very consistent with that. And that's how people are going to find you online. All right. That's going to increase brand awareness like you have no idea. All right. Okay. And then the other thing that I want you to do is when people are commenting and connecting and engaging with you on social media, on all platforms, you have to commit to me that you will respond back to them and you will reply to their messages. Okay. All right. When you increase your engagement, your audience will now feel like they are part of you and your brand. And that is going to help you build your brand, because all that anybody ever wants is to feel part of something bigger than them. And so I want you, Dan, to give them that. Okay. And so from there, that's all I want you to do. That's all I want you to do, because there's a lot more layers to this. And then the last thing I want you to do before I forget is I want you to publish the website and publish everything that you haven't published yet. Just publish it. And then drop me an email, because you have my email now. Drop me an email and give me those URLs and tell me when you did it. That's all I want you to do. That's all I want you to do. And then I want my audience that are all tuning in right now, do me a favor. I want you to go to picture or story on Instagram, and I want you to follow my man right here, Dan Barton. And I want you to continuously follow him and engage him and encourage him to get his message out to the people that he wants to serve. Okay. And and do that for me. I don't ask for much, but I want every listener to do that for me today. And I will find you if you don't. You have my word. So listen, Dan, this podcast episode you got me emotional, man. And I am a big mush when it comes to this stuff. And I hope that this podcast co-host experience gave you something today.
Absolutely.
To get you going in the right direction.
Certainly. And I do know my website, that is not launched yet. I think it says that I'm using a Divi WordPress theme.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it shows right now, but I will be launching it shortly. And it's andsatanlaugh.com.
Mm-hmm. I want you to think about finding the URL pictureorstory.com too, or .net.
Okay.
And if you could buy that URL, go and buy it immediately, because I would just want you to own it. I just want you to own it. All right. And then that's it. So I got to wrap up. I'm a little bit behind, but Dan, I appreciate you coming on the show today. I appreciate you sharing your experience and your vulnerability, because listen, there's so many people out there that are listening to this that feel the same way. And I hope our conversation has inspired other people that are in your boat to get out there and just make it happen, because you're not the only one, and you're doing a disservice to the people that really need your inspiration and your story to get over whatever the hell they need to get over to make whatever they want in life happen for them. So you did a big thing, my friend, today.
Well, thank you so much, Henry. You're the instigator of this, and if something good happens, it's your fault, man.
I love it. I love it. So, guys, again, the URL, the Instagram account for Dan Barton is Picture or Story. Go and follow them. Do that for me, please. Dan, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. I just got to do a couple housekeeping things. For those that listen to this show consistently and haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if you haven't shared this podcast with a friend or a colleague, I invite you to do that, and I thank you in advance for that. And if you could take a second, if you like what you heard today or in future or in past episodes, to write a quick little written review on my podcast, that would be tremendously helpful. And I thank you again for that as well. So I will catch all of you guys on the next episode. Hope you got some value out of this one. Have an awesome day. And I'm signing out. Take care.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.